Hello and welcome to Rando Rob. Each week on Rando Rob, I'll be showing and discussing one item from my large collection of collections. New shows appear every Monday, and throughout the week, I'll be adding older episodes of Rando Rob that were previously only available to my Patreon subscribers. You can watch episodes of Rando Rob on YouTube at youtube.com/Rob O'Hara. Just look for the Rando Rob playlist. Audio versions of the show are available on my website at podcast.robohara.com or through iTunes. Just search for Rando Rob. Thanks for watching or listening, and I hope you enjoy this vintage episode of Rando Rob. On today's Rando Rob, as you can see, I've got a picture of Pee-wee Herman right there. I've been a fan of Pee-wee Herman for a long time, ever since the movie came out. I don't remember if I saw the HBO special of Pee-wee's Playhouse before the movie came out. I just don't remember. Maybe I did if it was on HBO. But definitely by the time the movie came out, I was a fan of Pee-wee Herman. I remember either that year, I guess it was later that year, my family went on a vacation to the Alamo. We went to San Antonio. And if you remember from the movie, that's where Pee-wee goes to the Alamo because he's been told by a psychic that his bike is in the basement of the Alamo. And so he goes on this tour, and then at the end, they allow questions, and he says, "Hey, where's the basement?" And they say, "There's no basement," and they all laugh in his face. It's a really sad moment for Pee-wee. But I remember going to the Alamo, and I walked up to a guard, and I said, "Hey, where's the basement?" And he goes, "Wow, you're the first person to ever ask me that." Not. That was back when everybody said not. I think Pee-wee had maybe gone out of style for a few years and then came back around my senior year when I was in journalism. Journalism class was full of all the weirdos who liked weird and odd stuff and would create our own little cool things. And Pee-wee Herman was one of those. I remember we were in journalism class. This would have been 90, 91. We were all into Pee-wee Herman, and we were all into into Gumby. Gumby was a big thing. And Gumby had not been popular for a long time. So it was Gumby and that and the Blues Brothers, I think. But Pee-wee Herman was definitely, as long as you could say, "I'm able to do that." I'm telling you this, I could do a vast majority of that movie, recite it. We used to always do that part. "Today's my birthday, and my father says I can have anything I want." "Good for you and your father. So guess what I want?" "A new brain." "No, your bike." I won't do the whole movie, but anyway, that brings me to what I bought last weekend. Well, I guess I should turn off my phone. I bought this at the antique mall. This is a Pee-wee Herman doll from I believe the 90s. It could be late 80s. I don't remember, but this is they had this and they had Cherry, I believe, were the two things in this. This does have the pull string. It does not work. Most of these don't work. I don't know if these could be repaired. I don't know anything about that. But what I do know is when I see these for sale that aren't broken, they're like close to $100. And this one was $20, and I think I got it for $15. But what was more important to me is that his bow tie is there, and then his suit jacket's there, and it has all the buttons still on it, and he's got his little handkerchief there. And I don't know if the shoes come off. I guess they don't. That's good, because that seems like the kind of thing I would lose. I have some paint pens, and I think I'm going to touch up his hair. There's just a little bit of worn edge on the top of his hair there, and so I think I'm going to touch that up. So I'm going to flip over, and I think when I flip, I lose the audio for just a second, so I'm going to stop talking for just a second. And I want to show you a couple of pictures. So in 2014, my family and I went on vacation to California. It was an amazing vacation. We saw so many things. I can't remember if that was my first or second time. I think that might have been my first time to California. That was one of the later states that I was able to mark off my list. And while we were there, one of the things I really wanted to do was one of the movie studio tours, and we got to tour Warner Brothers studio. And so the girl that was giving our tour guide, that was giving the tour, we had like this big giant golf cart. I think there was like 10 people in our tour group, and she was driving around and she kept saying things like, now, this is the house where they're filming Pretty Little Liars. And everybody went, oh. And then she looked at me and I was like, I don't know what that is. I don't watch that. And she just, there, a couple of times that happened. And I know she could tell that we were not connecting, And so at one point, there was this old house, and she said, this is the house from the new Bates Hotel show. And I was like, and then there was this dirt road next to it. And she said, this is a famous dirt road they've used in a lot of movies. And she mentioned something, and I was like, we just don't recognize it, And then she said, oh, this is also the road where the T-Rex chased the Jeep in Jurassic Park. And I went, what? And so we found this common ground. She knew what era of movies I was interested in. And so she began throwing out references more, to my demographic. So I want you to look here. If you remember Pee-wee's Big Adventure, the movie, and towards the end of it, they have the big chase sequence where he's driving around on his bike. He's stolen his bike back, and they're chasing him on golf carts, and the police, and not police, the studio guard security are chasing him. And they're running up and down all these streets that have tan buildings. This is the Warner Brothers backlot. And of course, that movie was put out by Warner Brothers, and this is where that was shot. So as we were driving up and down, and I took these pictures, as we were driving up and down the lot, I just kept thinking like, wow, this is where that was filmed, And so I don't think I have a picture of it, but right behind that, the house that was in Psycho, there's a big lake. And she said, oh, that lake was used for this. And I was like, I don't know what that is. And then she said, this is the lake that Pee-wee Herman swung over when he's holding onto the rope and still on his bike. And I was like, oh, I'm a huge Pee-wee Herman fan. I love that. So for the rest of the tour, she continued to point out things on the Warner Brothers lot that had been used in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And let me flip to the next picture here. So if you've never been on a back lot, it's really strange how it photographs the way things are lined out, because a lot of, let me see if my my cursor is or my pointer is working. A lot of what you see in this picture is not what you see when you're there in real life. I don't see any trees on this particular corner. Like, this road doesn't lead anywhere. Like, this doesn't go anywhere. It just kind of goes around to a dead end. But these sidewalk, like steps here on the sidewalk, these can be pulled up and removed, and other ones placed in that have trees or light poles. So it's all interchangeable. It's very, very interesting. And there are all these, I'll show you a different picture, better shot of it in a minute, but there are these steps that go down into like little apartments or whatever, but they don't really go anywhere. When they go down, it's just like a little box that you hide in, and then you can come back up. So they don't really go underground. There's a subway station we saw, and when you go down, it's just a room. And they said in some movies, they will have people go down, and then they have coats where they change really quick, and then they come up the upstairs. So it looks like it's different people going down into the subway and coming up. Anyway, on this particular street here, and of course they drive you all around and show you the different things. Number one, if you're a fan of the I don't know how to say, I wouldn't say original Spider-Man movie, but the Tobey Maguire where he comes down upside down and he kisses Mary Jane. This is exactly where it was, where he comes down. They had a crane here and they lowered him down. And this is where, when Spider-Man was upside down and he kissed Mary Jane, it was exactly right here. But this scene is also from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, when Pee-wee is walking down the alleyway and it's raining and he goes to see Madame Ruby. And Madame Ruby is the one who tells him where his bike is in the Alamo in the basement. And so this is right here where he walks down. We see the underground Madame Ruby's palm reading or whatever. This is it right here. And I have a sideways shot of this exact same thing. You can see all these fire escapes here. And a little bit from the side. So this is the same alleyway. You could see like where you would go downstairs to go see Madame Ruby and all that. But this is also from the 1980s version of Annie, when the kids are all hanging out on the, when they're singing It's a Hard Knock Life, and they're hanging out on the fire escape here. This is where that was shot. So there's so many movies. And not to really go into it, but like every door and every window, we went and saw a warehouse where they have thousands of doors. And so if you're making a movie from 1930s, they go, get the 1930s door, and they come in and they change all the doors, or they will change the doorknobs or change the window styles or whatever. So these are all super configurable. And I don't think you could get up to these second and third. Maybe you can for shooting and stuff like that. But these bottom buildings are all just empty. And so we got to go in one, and she said, you're going to like this one. And so we went. This was on a corner. There's the tour bus. You can see that we were, or the tour golf cart thing that we were riding on. This is our group. So there's no distinguishable details in this room that would give this away, but if you look at the layout and if you know the movie, you can see it, and especially because there's kind of a corner bay window like right past where you can't really see in this picture. But this is the pet store from Pee-wee's Big Adventure that at the end of the movie is on fire, and he runs in and he saves all the animals and he keeps running in and out the door. That was filmed in this room. So lots of Pee-wee Herman stuff. And let me tell you that if you're a film buff and you like seeing this sort of thing, like where movies were filmed or on-set locations or stuff, you should definitely, if you're ever in California, book one of these tours. I could do an entire show just about this tour, because they had a inside museum where they had all the costumes from the Batman movies. They had all the clothes that they wore on Friends. And I think all the clothes, we got to go into the set of the coffee shop where they used to hang out, and we got to go in there and sit on the couch and all that. They've never tore that set down. They've kept that set untouched. So that's still there, the coffee shop from Friends. But just all kinds of stuff like that. So if you like movie memorabilia and sets and things like that, they're really informative tours. I'm going to flip back to the Rando Rob scene. This will take a second to pop up because of my background. Ooh. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. We still got audio. It takes a second to load that animation that's in the background. But so anyway, I will say this about this purchase. These are the kind of purchases that get me in trouble, because when I saw it, I was like, oh, I always wanted one of those. I never had one. And so I was like, oh, I want to get that. But I'm getting ready to tear down, I've mentioned this before, I'm getting ready to tear down that whole wall and put up some different shelves and things like that. I don't have a place for him at the moment. He's hanging on, I literally put him up like this, and he's hanging on the backside of my monitor. So when I look at my monitor, it looks like this. He's like this. But he's just hanging there looking at me. I don't know if that's a permanent mounting spot for him. He is a little bit posable, I would say. So you could kind of bend his legs up and he can do his little dance or whatever. But, these are the kind of things, these are shelf fillers, and so you can only have so many of these. You can't keep buying this kind of stuff without having a spot to put it, So See you later. So for now, Pee-wee goes back on top of the monitor, and we'll find a permanent home for him somewhere. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff that tends to clutter up rooms in a hurry. So I got to figure out something. So anyway, thank you guys for everything. Welcome to the new Patreon supporters. I do these Rando Rob videos once a week, along with other random things that I come up with. So check, make sure that you get all your Patreon updates and stuff, because there's lots of stuff going on back here behind the scenes. So thank you guys, and I will talk to you all soon.